Everybody, Bill Faith here from Build Short-Term Rental Wealth, and thank you for joining me this evening. I know it's later than I would typically do a live broadcast, but I figure a lot of us are still out shoveling snow. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, and like many of us across the country, yes, we got, I don't even know, maybe about 3 inches of snow last night. It was pretty ironic that I spent the last week in Gulf Shores, Alabama at my new STR. My family and I went down there on the 27th through yesterday, and basically it was 72 degrees when we left at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then we got snow last night. It's just amazing the weather patterns around the country. So I know you guys aren't here to talk about that, but it's kind of the reference of it's wintertime all across the country, and it's wintertime in a lot of parts of the world, and it's been a pretty slow winter for a lot of us. And I want to talk tonight about what you can do as a host to generate more bookings during the winter. And it's not too late to be able to get some bookings. Literally, I'm just going to share a quick tip that I saw one of my mastermind members share that just happened up in the Smoky Mountains. But before we do it, as always, I really want this to be as personal as possible. So please, in the comments, just say hello and let me know where you're from. Just what city are you from? Say hello. And as we get into this, please, this is all for you. It's not for me. I'm not here to sell you anything. Just type in your questions. I've got a lot of you that have already submitted questions that I'm going to go over and get started with. I've got a list of 6 things that all of us as hosts should be doing and implementing now to be able to move the needle. But I'm going to give you something just really quick. So there was a power outage in Gatlinburg. There's roads that are shut down. There's homes that are inaccessible. And it's ironic that literally right now I'm looking in Montana for my next short-term rental that I will probably purchase, I'm almost guarantee in the next 90 days because I'm 1031ing it into it. Jim on the Peloton. Yeah, I love it. Jim on the Peloton. That's probably Jim Folger, I'm going to guess. I see Jake from Mesa, Arizona. We got Louisiana Coast, Cashiers, North Carolina. Pika from Spokane. Look, I'm looking up in the Kalispell area, kind of close to you in Spokane there. Bill from Phoenix, Denver, a little bit. Emil, my man Emil is here. Lori from Nashville, Houston. We got Florida in the house, Twin Falls, Idaho. Love it, love that part of the country. So welcome tonight. One of the things that I just want to share with you, and I typically would not, but I think it's just such an easy win, is really there's a couple of things in our listing settings before I dive into some of the questions. And if you guys have questions, just post them in the comments down below. Is our cancellation policies that we have in place play a significant role in our listing optimization, which means that it affects our rankings. And I'm a strict cancellation policy guy. But I've been a lot more flexible. I've actually been using the Airbnb flexible policy. I've relaxed my policies in Vrbo over the fall. Now, as we get into the official booking season for summer, I've moved them back to strict. But I'm watching that in my rank breeze to see how that affects my positioning. So the first thing that I think is really important, I've got this as number 2, but I want to start with this. Is really listing optimization. And it's not just about keywords. It's not just about updating it every single day. There's so many data factors that tie into the algorithm for Airbnb or Vrbo, just as there are with Google. So we need to really pay close attention. So like right now, if you're not booking anything, and a lot of you are completely dead, the first thing that I would do, instead of going and lowering pricing, which is number 1 on my list, that will affect your ranking more than anything else. Let me scratch that off. I am not an advocate of doing this, and I'm going to give you a perfect example. If I was to pull up my new property that I've shared with you guys in an email, I'm just north of, I think, $150,000 in bookings since the 9th or 10th of December, whenever I turned on the listing, but I don't have one in January, and I am 100% fine with that right now. I know that I will take a couple of bookings in January, but I'm not lowering my pricing because that's not the type of guest that I want. That's not to say that you have to do the exact same thing. If you're priced at like $225 and you lower your pricing to $195, and you're using RankBreeze, I promise you're going to see a significant increase in your rankings. So that is a strategy. That's just not one for me. And none of my properties do I do that. That doesn't mean that you can't take that strategy, but it's the fastest thing that's going to increase your rankings. The second one's going to be your cancellation policy. And that becomes really, really important. So I turned mine back on Christmas Eve to strict. So I've had them off everywhere, all the way through to flexible policies on Airbnb, all through the fall. I started it right around Labor Day when I saw things were going to be a little bit slower in October, November, December, and into January. And I've taken more bookings through December and January. So I ended up, for me, at about a 41% occupancy portfolio wide in December. That's pretty strong for me in December. Remember, I'm not a volume based. I strive for 60%, max at 65. And that's, I'm like everybody else. During the summer, I'm 100% occupied. So for me to hit 41% in December is pretty strong. Right now, because I have no bookings in this brand new property, in January, I think I'm looking at about 27% as we're into the first couple of days. I think that will change. I'm guessing I'll probably be around 30 to 35% by the end of January. And I'm 100% fine with that because my rates are through the roof compared to a lot of other people. So I switched the cancellation policy back. If you, I'm just going to use that 225 number. If you went to 199 and switched from strict to flexible, I think you would see a dramatic increase and you would see some inquiries come in right off the bat. Now that's your listing optimization. The second thing you have to think about is conversion. You have to give somebody a reason as to why they should book your property. And we all hear everybody talk about, myself included, about the professional images. You got to have great images. Your top 5 images are critical. There's no question those top 5 images are critical, but also the copy that's written under those images. I can't express enough how many of you miss the opportunity of the text that goes underneath your images from a sales and a conversion standpoint, as well as a listing optimization or an SEO standpoint. So you really need to focus on that. Don't just tell me that, a picture of your kitchen and, hey, this is the kitchen. No shit. Everybody knows that. Tell me about what's in it and how I can use it. This is a chef's kitchen that's, we stock it. We're fully loaded. We stock it with everything so grandma can make dinner for all 27 people. Everything from pizza cutters to rice makers to a slow cooker to a tea kettle. All of those amenities that you want to go check inside of the listing are here inside the kitchen. Then if you're like me, you actually show photos of your drawers. You show photos of your cabinets. It's deep into the listing. It's not in the first 20 images. And I make sure I have strategically some inside the 50 I'm limited to in Vrbo. I bury them at about 60 to 70 in Airbnb, but I'm also writing the descriptions again. And that gives me, the more photos I put into my Airbnb listing, folks, the more opportunity I get to write copy, which their algorithm sees. When the spiders crawl our listings, just like the search bot, the spiders crawl Google web pages, they see all of that copy. So I want you to max out your images inside of Airbnb, but be cognizant when you're on Vrbo, you're only going to see 50, right? So you don't want some really important images. Don't fill the first 50 with everything that you have inside of your kitchen and then not put in your family room or the bikes that you have or your hot tub or whatever that is. So you got to incrementally start with the most valuable, get to the least valuable, and prioritize those. Listing optimization, I think, is the one thing that most hosts fail on, and that's really what we need to focus on. I know a lot of people are like, well, I want a direct book because I can make more money. I can own my own customer. I get that part, but Airbnb and Vrbo are Google. We need them to be able to max out. But there are other options. And there's other options that drive a lot of traffic that are not that expensive. And I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show with you a couple here. I'm going to start with this one. Share my screen. There we go. So this is Emerald Coast by owner. You can see the cities, and even in Alabama, they don't have that many in Gulf Shores and Fort Morgan, but they're almost all of the prime markets across the country have these regional referral sites or booking sites. So this is one that's really built for kind of the Destin to Panama City Beach area, and they do come over into Gulf Shores. I'm going to show you another one that really focuses just in Alabama that's a little bit stronger in Alabama than this. But there's quite a few of them. And even like OwnerRez integrates with all of these. Here's one for Gatlinburg. This is Smoky Mountains by Owner. And, once again, this covers Blue Ridge. It covers Asheville, Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, kind of all of those areas. And these are very inexpensive. I think this one is $325. I don't own here, $349, right? So, and then here's the one that I've talked about in the last couple of days, because I had never, in all the years that I've been down in the Gulf Shores, I'd actually never signed up for Alabama Vacation Home Rentals. I did it, and I'm a featured property right here. This is my property. And then Susan, the owner, just sent out an email, and I was in the featured component of the email. Well, I booked over $47,000 in bookings now on, I think, five or six bookings. And it's been like 5 days. It was right before Christmas. So like it's been actually right after Christmas, right before New Year. So I think it was Thursday. So what's today? Monday? So like 3 or 4 days over the weekend, because I was featured in their distribution of their email marketing list. This only cost me $400 a year. But let me show you what most people make the mistake of. I'm going to click on list your property here. Let me see where the plans are. So most people are coming in at the bronze at $279. They're not going to spend the extra $200 to go with the gold. And I probably shouldn't say this because a lot of you are going to go in and do this. But on all of these, whether it's the Smokies, whether it's the Emerald Coast, whether it's here, go in for the highest package that includes the distribution, right? Then make sure that you're taking advantage of everything that they have. Be in the Facebook group. Be first to respond inside the Facebook group. So one of the reasons I had never subscribed to this is I thought it was all condo stuff. And when I went through the website, it showed I would see a lot of condos, a lot of smaller properties, right? So I'm just going to go back to the homepage. So let's look here, right? So you got to do your own analysis. 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom. There's 1 5-bedroom up here in front of me. 2 bedroom. I'm the first 6 bedroom that pops in, and I'm the highest priced by far at $850 to $1,500 a night, right? But I'm on that home page and I get featured. I think a lot of it's probably because of the design that we have. And basically you can just take your, I don't know why that opens a new window, and, kind of just come through here and show you some of the images that are showcased as we go through. And I think a lot of it has to do with the design. Something that I think is really important in the conversion standpoint. This is incomplete. I don't even have my family room, my game room in here, any of this type of stuff. So that's really what I want you to understand. It's now, I just got professional photos literally yesterday. So I've done all of this without professional photos, but the more professional photos you get, the more you focus on conversion. It's great to get ranked high by doing listing optimization, but if you don't factor in conversion opportunity of what your ideal guest is actually looking for and what's going to entice them to purchase, then your conversion rate is going to be extremely low. And if it's low, then you're going to start to fall in the rankings. It's one thing to drive visitors to your listing. It's another to have nobody purchase. If you send via any traffic, right? Just you get to the first page, you go out in Airbnb's email, you can launch a promotion on Airbnb or use points on Vrbo to boost, use buy, sell, trade, Facebook ads, whatever. But if nobody's buying from you, then what the algorithm sees is, wow, there's a lot of people looking at this, but it's not very good value because none of our customers are buying. So you have to make sure that you're getting bookings. And there's nothing better, in my opinion, than completed reservations and 5-star reviews. So there's what I would call a pricing strategy. Like right now, if you have no bookings for this upcoming weekend, this is where I would probably run a promotion. And if you haven't got a 5-star review on a checkout and like since before Christmas, you need something to reinvigorate your listing. Drop your pricing, lower your policy for just like 24 to 48 hours, your cancellation policy, and try to get somebody into the property immediately and knock their socks off with your hospitality so you're for certain to be able to get a 5-star review. There's another strategy you can use that does break the terms of service, but I think you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, you can discuss that amongst yourselves because that will also trigger the algorithm for you to start to scoot back up to the top of the rankings as well. So we've got a lot of questions here. We've got about, I don't know, it looks like about 60 people that are here. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. Jake Jackson's coming to the boot camp. Awesome. Can't wait to meet you in person. Jake, we're really going to be taking deep dives into this stuff in the boot camp. Let's see who else we got. We got Twin Falls, Los Angeles STR, and Big Bear, California. Love it. Lake of the Ozarks, Indy, Massachusetts. When is the official booking season? The official booking season for summer, in my opinion, started on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, really about a week ahead of time because people are actually booking vacations. I know I did this with the Disney cruise. I literally, about 5 years ago, completely forgot I didn't buy anything. My wife got stuff for my girls. I didn't get anything for my wife. I literally went online and I booked us a Disney cruise. I think we departed on like the 30th. It was like a 4 or 5 day Bahama cruise. We left like within a week, wrapped it up in a box. Everything was great. And it was done right before Christmas, right? So that's what happens with a lot of people. Somebody, commented on Deb Wood, said that it starts on January 1st, and people said nobody's booking, for the Gulf Shores and the Fort Morgan market. Well, you are 100% wrong. And that's actually what triggered, this. This has to be a mindset shift, folks. Almost, if we're just creating our listing and putting it on Airbnb, putting it on Vrbo, putting it on Booking.com, putting it on Expedia, and just sitting back and waiting, you're going to have a slow winter. We've actually got to put work in to be able to get bookings during the winter, especially right now. This is the worst winter that I've seen nationwide in probably 5 to 6 years in the short-term rental and vacation rental space. The worst winter. It's taken me a lot of work, a lot of off-platform marketing to be able to get this done. Now, if I wanted to lower some pricing, I could probably fill up to 50 or 60% occupancy. But you got to be running Facebook ads. You need to be doing email marketing. You need to be doing buy, sell, trade. You need to be optimizing your listing. You need to have a RankBreeze account. That's like number one. If you guys do not have a RankBreeze account, you need a RankBreeze account, and you need to spend some time in their tutorial videos on how to use the platform, because you need to know where you're at, and then you can put in your competitors. But as an example, there's just not enough volume right now. I think in my most recent Gulf Shores, which is a prime market, Price Labs report, there was like 584 bookings last week. And that's up, I think it was 22% from the previous week, right? So you're talking like 350 to 400 bookings the week of, right, leading into Christmas, and then only 584, so less than 600. You're talking 14,000 STRs between Orange Beach and Gulf Shores. Just in Gulf Shores, which does include Fort Morgan, you're probably talking about 4,000 to 5,000. That is a very minuscule percentage. That's why we have to know how to drive our own traffic. If we as hosts do not know how to drive our own traffic, we are not going to be able to max out. You've seen all the stuff I put together for the boot camp. This is not going to be a sales pitch, but this is how you max out your bookings. Anybody can make money during the summer. Anybody. Right now, December, January, February, that is where the hosts that get the most cash on cash return are actually making money. Yes, RankBreeze. Thank you for whoever asked about the online platform. If you decide to go to RankBreeze, when we get done, go into the group, type in RankBreeze in the search bar, go back to August, and watch the 1 hour session that Kelvin Ma, the founder of RankBreeze, and I did together. Use that link. It's not an affiliate link. I get 0 commission. But what it is he gave a special report that I'm referring to, the Gulf Shores report. I get them in all of my cities, all my municipalities that he presents them in, and that's going to help. So one thing that you have to do on the listing optimization is really think about keywords. You got to look at what your competitors are doing, and that's what I love about the reports that Kelvin sends out through RankBreeze. How do I optimize pricing with Price Labs as far as base price and minimum price and the off season? I think so. That's where you have to do the research. I can't tell you exactly what to do. I would need to see your competitors. I would need to see where you're currently ranking inside of RankBreeze, and then you test, right? So I guess I am telling you how to do it. So the cool thing is you can test based on tracking where you're at inside of RankBreeze, and Kelvin's built this, like SEO, I forgot what he calls it. I call it a tracker, but it's really a logbook to where one of the things about doing optimization is you can only do one thing at a time. You can't go into your listing and change images, change pricing, change cancellation policy, and then rewrite your description all at once, because you're not going to, and then you go from page 3 to page 1, you're not going to know which one of those factors impacted your increase in ranking. You do one thing at a time, you log it, you wait for it to update 48 hours later, you go back, and then you benchmark. You make one more iteration, you log it in your log, you wait 48 hours, you go back and you benchmark. That's how you do optimization. You can't go in and just like redo everything at one time, because then you don't know what works. Really important to understand. It's kind of like A/B testing, right? So in regards to the listing optimization, this is the third thing that I have for you. Another factor that I've been testing for about the last 5 weeks, and I'm seeing significant increase in ranking, is the amount of time that I'm spending in a listing. So if you've been through my Superhost library, if you're in the Host Academy and you look at, I've got these templates, and I want to create like 5 or 6 different titles for my listings. I rewrite the first couple of paragraphs for my descriptions. I'm moving images around, all these things that I do multiple times per week. Now I'm starting to see some changes. I'm still doing those multiple times a week, but instead of having them pre-written and just in and out in like literally 3 to 5 minutes a listing, I'm spending like 30, 45 minutes in each of my listings on a 3, 4, 5 times a week basis. Now, I may not be in there like physically working the entire time. I may jump out, write an email, do whatever, but I'm leaving them open. I'm optimizing it, and I'm doing this in OwnerRez, just FYI. I'm not literally going into Airbnb and into Verbooks. I can't, because I have all that stuff into my OwnerRez, and the same if you're using a different PMS. And that's okay. But I believe the time on site is a big ranking factor that I'm seeing that's happening. So don't just sit there and if you're not logging in at all, then you have no time inside your listing working on it, right? So take your time, be diligent. You know, you don't have to sit down for an hour at one time. Do 10 or 15 minutes in the morning, do 10 or 15 minutes at night. Literally 10 or 15 minutes 3 times a week versus doing nothing, you will see a significant increase. And it will happen relatively quickly. You guys have heard me talk about this for quite some time. The 140, 150, I don't know, somewhere between 145 to 160 in bookings at my new property. I can show you that like about a third of that has come from the Alabama Vacation Home Rentals, but about another third of that has come through direct bookings through my buy-sell trade groups. So I can't emphasize this enough, folks. And if you don't know how to correctly take advantage of the buy-sell trade groups, then you need to take a look at the library. Just joining it for that alone is going to give you a significant return on investment. So I'm driving literally in this new property. I think I launched the listing on December 9th or 10th, so it's under a month, roughly $150,000 in bookings. A third's coming from Alabama Vacation Rental. A third is coming from buy-sell trade. And then a third is intermixed between Airbnb and VRBO. And I'm sending all of the Alabama Vacation Rental, all of the buy-sell trade traffic directly to my OwnerRez direct booking site. No MacDaddy WordPress website that I've had Chris, if you know my main man, Chris, that works for me as a partner in this. You know, he builds sites, he does all that design stuff for me, but I'm just simply using the OwnerRez vacation, the OwnerRez direct booking widget. But the buy-sell trade groups are free, just takes a little bit of time. Literally, I give you the templates, copy, paste, exactly how to do it, how to respond, where to drive that traffic. And you also want to drive a little bit of the traffic that's going to be going through to the OTA so you can increase those listings. Lori absolutely will be going over this in the March boot camp. If you're spending time on OwnerRez making changes, how can Vrbo or Airbnb know detect these changes? They're all going to improve your rankings. So, I mean, it's because multiple changes are happening. I'm making changes and I'm pushing them. I'm making more changes and I'm pushing them. I'm making changes again and I'm pushing them. So where in the past it was literally in 2 or 3 changes, push, done, gone. So I'm probably doing, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 pushes in, a 20, 30, 40, 50 minute session, and that's where I'll go in and I'll make a change and I'll come and do an email. Then I'll go back and I'll make some more changes and I'll do something else. And I'm kind of working it into my routine to where I can spend more time on the site. And it becomes so important. And I can't wait to hopefully get some concrete data over a little bit longer period of time to where I can show you some actually data on how that's working. Right now, whoever asked that question, It's really hypothesis, and it's something. Everything else I'm trying to keep as a constant. I haven't made pricing changes. I have not gone in and made image changes. I'm going to have to do that in the next day or two to update. I just got my professional images on this property, so it's the only thing that's really changing. And I've seen my rankings continue to climb, specifically on certain occupancies. And I'm not even in the top 5 for my max occupancy of 14, but I'm crushing 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, which is very interesting to me. Buy, sell, trade. Are you referring to Facebook Marketplace? So there is Facebook Marketplace, and then there are buy, sell, trade groups. I'm talking about, St. Louis, mommy's group, buy, sell, trade, where it's women only that can get into it. You go into, your local city buy, sell, trade group, and, you can sell your TV or monitors or phone cases or books or old clothes or whatever it is. You have to read the group rules, and you have to know what you can and cannot do, and you have to know how to post. So a lot of people struggle with Facebook ads. A lot of people struggle in the buy, sell, trade group because they don't know how to structure the post. They don't know what they can and they can't do. You got to know the specifics. I do have a training inside my library that you guys can go over that with. So number 5 is email marketing. I've showed you the benefit, or told you the benefit of kind of what's happened through the Alabama Vacation Rental through their email marketing, but a lot of it's our own email marketing. So step 1 is, if you do not have your own email database, you need to have your own email database. If you have one property and it's a 2-bedroom, start collecting those emails now, but you need to know how to do it so you do not violate the Airbnb, Vrbo, Expedia, whatever you're using, terms and conditions, their terms of service. So you can't go into the app and say, oh, hey, Bill, what's your email address so I can put you on my Christmas email list. You don't want to do that by any means. There's ways that you can and ways that you can't do it, so that way you do not get in trouble or, God forbid, booted off the platform completely. But the one thing I want to share with you, the most valuable asset that I believe that I own is my email list. And, I'm sure most of you guys in this segment, my short-term rental life, and I have others if you don't know me very well, are on my email list. And I try to drive so much value through that email list. Like today, many of you probably received my email and it said, hey, we're doing this today, how to get more bookings during the winter. And then we're also doing Tax Tuesday with Ryan back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern. No links, not selling you anything. So I believe in the 80-20 methodology, to where I need to provide immense value for free 80% of the time. And then I'm going to try to monetize 20% of the time. I don't like the slimy people that are always trying to sell, right? Because I don't always want to be sold to. I believe that if I create enough value for you guys on this 30 to 45 minute live broadcast, then you will make your own informed decision. Wow, if I can get that much value from Bill and 30 or 45 minutes for free, man, what would happen if I joined his mastermind or joined the library or came to the boot camp and spent 2.5 days, look at, oh my God, 45 minutes, 15 hours, boom. It's the same thing when we're trying to sell our properties. We can't just say, hey, look we have a special going on. That's not what this is about. It's about going in and sending a strategic email prior to the first official day of booking season. It's letting them know, hey, I just opened my summer rates for 2022, or my rates, excuse me. Hey, I just opened my summer calendar. Bookings are filling up fast. Thank you so much for being a past customer. By the way, if you book direct, I can save you 10% off of Airbnb or Vrbo. Those types of things. Then say, hey, you might send something in the middle of March. Thinking about coming to Big Fork, Montana? Here's the 5 best restaurants. Here's the fastest routes. Here's the best snowmobiling, outfitters to go into Kalispell. Here's the 3 things that you want to do when you go to Glacier National Park. You want to think about those things and value add. Even if they don't book with you, you're still creating value for them and they're going to remember you for that. But that earns the right. If anybody follows Gary Vaynerchuk, that's jab, jab, jab. And then you come in with the right hook. That's give, give, give. Right hook, you come in for the sale. You've got to provide value. I don't want any of you going in and saying, hey, book now, book now, book now. Let's give them a reason to continue to come back and continue to open up that links, right? So anything we're doing in social media, anything that we're doing in email marketing, we're there. You guys are voting right now on how good of a job that I'm doing, right? Because you guys would be leaving. We have 66 people on this broadcast live right now. And then I'll look at the date of how many people view it on the recording. And that's just in this one channel. I'm doing this on 5 different, my YouTube channel. I'm doing this on my Facebook page, everywhere. So as this continues to grow and people aren't dropping off, that means that I'm at least keeping your attention and driving value. We just went up to 67, right? If I was all the way down to 40, it's just like when you post stuff continuously. And I've got right here at the bottom, I don't want to, but you can see no, so you can't really read it, but it says no to social media. So I'm going to scratch this one off. No to social media. Too many of you waste so much time posting to your Facebook page, posting to your Instagram, and you have no idea if it's working. So if you're one of those people that's posting daily to your Facebook page and your Instagram page, close the loop. If you can't close that loop and actually determine that the amount of time that you're investing doing that is paying off financially, then it's not a good valuation of your time. And this is coming from a guy that's owned a $10 million marketing agency and built my career, literally my career, even my brick and mortar businesses on the back of social media. I'm telling you not to waste your time on Instagram and Facebook. How many people do you have that like your Facebook page? 300, 400? How many are your friends, family? And how many are actually booking through your Facebook page? How many say, look, hey, I love your Facebook post. Do you have a link to where I can direct book? And then they actually book. How many likes do you get on an average post? How many comments do you get on an average post? Because if there's nothing happening, that's your marketplace, that's your community telling you that they're not interested. That's the way that we all handle social media. Now, if you're an amazing photographer and you're in a place like Glacier National Park, in Montana, and the scenery is just incredible, and you're posting every day to IG, Instagram, and you're getting 50 likes, 100 likes, you're getting shares, comments, all that type of stuff, like you're literally the youngest daughter of Kris Jenner of the Kardashian family, then keep doing it. But what I want to tell you is that you got to be really freaking good, and you got to really stand out with your content, or it becomes a waste of time. Now, if you're going to continue to do that, or if you're doing that manually right now, then you need to look at something like the Buffer app, BUFFERAPP, Buffer app, to where you can schedule with a low-cost app. And I think if you have 2 platforms, like, so let's just say Facebook and Instagram, it's free, and you can schedule out like 10 posts. You can schedule out, we actually use Hootsuite for all of our accounts, and I can schedule a month in advance. Then you can batch out your content and spend like Sunday afternoon and schedule everything for the week. But you still have to listen. You still have to engage. So I think a lot of people don't really know how to leverage social media correctly. And I would classify myself, I don't like to use the word expert, but I'm really good at it. Used to have like 20,000 Twitter followers before Twitter was Twitter. All this type of stuff. You can see I've built 16,000 people in our Facebook group. I don't spend a whole lot of time doing it because I see my time being better spent elsewhere. So you either got to be really good and like all in on social media. And I'd rather see you guys, if you can leverage video, I'd rather see you taking advantage of newer platforms like TikTok. If you like have access to your platform, but if you're remote like me, we don't have access to enough content to be able to do a really good job, in my opinion. I haven't seen anybody really be able to execute it extremely well. Yep, AlabamaVacationRentals.com. That's it. Love it. Sam, how much is a boot camp? I was in Nashville during the fall boot camp, but it's during my brother's wedding. Sam, right now there is super early bird pricing, and I'm actually going to post about this in the groups. I will, since Sam asked, I'm going to give you guys just a heads up. Chris Wharton, who is my number 2, has been on the literally bucket list vacation of anybody's lifetime. He's been in Antarctica, I think, since the 21st or 22nd of November. Today is Monday the 3rd. He comes back in 2 days, Wednesday the 5th. So once he comes back, super early bird pricing is going away. It's $895 right now. You can find the link. Just type it. You can go into the pinned post, go into just type in boot camp anywhere inside the Facebook group right here, and you'll find the link to be able to get to it. But it's $895 It's going to go up to, I think, $1,095 on Wednesday when he gets back. So if you do want into the boot camp, you do want to take a deeper dive, Sam, then you need to get in before then. Just PM me if you have any other questions. Would you say bullet points for your listing is a good look? So I think bullet points are very important when you get into like the rooms and the bedrooms and that type of stuff. I'm also fine with using all caps for like bedroom 1, kitchen, game room, and then going into regular copy after that. But I'm not a fan of bullet points ahead of that, right? So I think we need to be telling a story. We need to be connecting with our ideal buyers. It's not, here's my 3-bedroom, 2-bath across the street from the lake. It's blah, 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 blah. It's like, we need to talk about the experience that they're going to have. Imagine waking up and pulling open the curtain, sitting on the back deck, looking at the pristine waters in the middle of a national forest. Think about the emotions and striking that, and the aroma of the coffee bar. Those are the types of things that we want to describe, and we can't really do that in bullet points. So I like to start off by telling the story, sneaking in some keywords, right? From an optimization standpoint, and most of my bookers, we skew like 73, 74% female. So I'm writing to females. So it's like, I know that mom's probably going to be one of the first ones typically to wake up if they're going on a multifamily vacation with kids. And that's where I want her to think that that's her time. So I look at my new property. I've got a deck that overlooks the beach, master's on the 2nd floor. She can grab a cup of coffee, and literally I'm putting a Keurig inside the master suite, which I've never done before. And I'm writing about that, and I'm going to show a picture of it. And we took a picture of my wife, even though we don't drink coffee, using one of our to-go cups, on the back deck with the beach in the background, all those things to kind of tell that story. If you're not familiar with Donald Miller, who lives about 5 minutes from me, Donald Miller owns a brand, a company called Story Brand. You should follow him on Instagram, follow him on Facebook, and that is the dude that will teach you how to tell stories into write. Donald Miller is incredible. Now, you can also go to jarvis.ai. Anybody that catches that, jarvis.ai, that's where you can hire a professional AI copywriter for like $99 a month, write all your stuff, go through it, and you'll be taken care of. It's incredible. I use jarvis.ai as well. What about paying influencers in the area who have lots of followers to do a series of post shares on their accounts? I am not a fan of influencers. What are they influencing? So Kim Kardashian, let's take any other Kardashian, but just Kim Kardashian. I love using her as an example for social media. And maybe, what's the youngest daughter's name? I can't remember her name. Kylie, or not Kylie. Kendall, maybe Kendall. I don't know. I think Kim Kardashian has the most followers, but I think Kendall's right up there with her, right? So you could have both of them stay at your property and shoot photos and blah, 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 and post 2 times. I mean, they charge like, I don't know, it's $500,000 per post on Instagram. None of that is really going to benefit you. You might catch lightning in a bottle and get one person to book just because they want to stay where the Kardashians stayed, but that's not what their segment is. That's not who they influence. It's completely different buyer. So now if you went in and you had the points guy as an example, I don't even know his real name, but if you've ever been to the points guy who's like a points hacker, or the Brian Chesky or Peter Greenberg, the travel guy, or somebody like that as an influencer, completely different. I don't see local influencers at all having any type of impact. The influencers that count are like Alabama Vacation Rental. They have an influence in the market. Don't think about the individual, think about the other entities that can help you with that. So I'm not a big fan in this space of letting models, letting social influencers with 100,000 people, and even like the travel kids that are traveling the world. That's not our type of buyer. The people that follow them are the ones that want to travel the world, in a backpack like they're doing, and point hacking airline flights and all that type of stuff. So the point of this long-winded answer is make sure that you define who your ideal buyer is for your marketing. It's what we call a buyer persona. It's a fictitious representation of your ideal customer. So if you want the early 20-year-olds to mid 20-year-olds that are backpacking around the world, flying everywhere, that are looking for cheap Airbnbs, they don't even know the term because it should be short-term rentals, then by all means, if you've got a 1 or a 2 bedroom in a high densely populated urban area, that might benefit you. I live in Nashville, Tennessee. If I owned a property in Nashville proper in downtown, would it benefit me if I had a former bachelorette, come in and do as an influencer from the show, The Bachelor, and come into my property and stay there and take photos? That would work if I was trying to attract bachelorette parties, because it's the #1 bachelorette destination. So I'd have to know who my ideal buyer is. If you can nail those two together, then by all means, give it a crack and see if it works. But just an influencer because they're an influencer in a space that's not directly correlated, not so much. As always, if you guys have any questions, drop them below. I'm probably going to go a few minutes over. I have not got to any of the questions that came in beforehand. So let's dive right in. This is for Kathy. Do I need to get a website, or what do I need to get set up before I run Facebook ads? I.e., do I have a Facebook page for my unit, but still solely on Airbnb? So Kathy, if you use the word unit, I'm making an assumption that you're in like a 1 or a 2 bedroom, an apartment, or a townhome. I'm not a big fan of the word unit unless you're doing arbitrage. I think we all own property. If we own, we should be referring to it as a property. That's #1. Just like my pet peeve is we do not Airbnb. We do short-term rentals. We do short-term vacation rentals. We are not doing Airbnb. So anyways, you don't have to have a website to do Facebook ads. So I actually drive traffic to Airbnb, I drive traffic to VRBO, and I drive traffic to my direct booking site. I use OwnerRes's direct booking sites. I believe my properties sell themselves. I don't need to spend a shit ton of money building a website, especially if you have a unit. It's probably smaller, probably not yielding the cash return that I get from a dollar standpoint. You might get a higher cash on cash percentage. But I mean, if you have a $40,000 or $50,000 revenue generating unit, I wouldn't go out and spend $2,000 on a website. And I definitely wouldn't be spending anything on search engine optimization, because almost everybody's going to try to sell that to you once you have a website. Don't do it. I send 30 to 30. I divide my traffic in thirds, right? A third to Vrbo, a third to Airbnb, and a third to my direct booking site, because I rank very high for all of my properties, and sending traffic to it is a huge indicator for being within the algorithm. So I'm dispersing that equally. Now, if I'm running retargeting ads, all of those are going to go to direct booking, right? So first click, I will send to Airbnb and Vrbo, but if I retarget, I'm going to link all of those to go back to the direct booking site. You don't need to spend a ton of money for a website by any means. And maybe you're just terminology is different. You're just talking about a direct booking site, but I would use one of the property management ones that are out there for free. So this was a long one that I had to truncate. We're working on STRs close to a Ford mega site in West Tennessee. So we'll be catering to construction crews, road crews. I'm hopeful this will be a year-round market. How do I market to this group? So one, your ideal buyer, and your and I don't know where this is at, West Tennessee. So I think you said on the Tennessee River. It could be in Jackson. If it was Memphis, you might have some tourism in there. But if you're going to market to them, once again, you know who your ideal buyer is. And if it's Ford and they're going to be employers or people that are going to be targeting Ford, #1 thing that you can do is I would start targeting Ford as a company using LinkedIn ads. So it's really easy to be able to target companies, employees within companies, even based on seniority or employee name, a lot of those things, if that's going to be your target. If it's people that are coming in as visitors, that's a little bit different. Then I'd probably switch over and be using Facebook ads to do that. Those are the two platforms that I would be looking, but I would need a little bit more information to narrow that down to know exactly where those people are coming from, since you're talking about a Ford mega site. I honestly don't see a Ford mega site being that valuable for you unless it's going to be, kind of longer term. I would be looking at maybe a different ideal buyer. Virginia, I have a few bad reviews that I believe have impacted my bookings. How do I get around this dilemma? Vrbo's the platform. How do you handle these in the future? So once you get a bad booking, it's almost impossible to get it reversed, even if it's out of whack or whatever that is. So the only thing we can do, and this is where you get a bad review, on Google, Vrbo, Airbnb, Facebook, wherever it is in any type of business, it's called the smash methodology. We got to smash those down. That means we need more 5-star reviews to go on top of it and push it down. So that way we get our numbers back up and we get that down to where people aren't scrolling to be able to see it. So if it's me, I'm trying to get as many of my friends and family to stay at my property as quickly as I can to push that bad review down. Look, I got a 1-star review on a property that I manage back in September. Literally had a snafu. It was 100% my fault. We had 2 guests. We double booked, checked in, and 100% my fault. I didn't check it out. Literally was relying on the automation, and I had to go in and get that thing pushed down as quickly as possible. I got it was either 5 or 6 bookings within the next 2 weeks to be able to go in and push that down with all 5-star reviews and to get my rating back up. And I saw literally my rankings tanked. Then they started to come back up within about 2 to 3 weeks after I started getting all of those 5 stars. So we need to just use the smash methodology, smash that bad review down, and get some really good ones on top of it. Susan, as I look for my first property and decide on a market, 1, which property is harder to market year-round, a beach property or a property on a lake in the summer, winter activities in the summer? No, I don't think it's about a beach property or a lake property. I think it all has to do with climate and what people are going to do at that location, right? So when we say beach, are we talking about the Panhandle where it's freezing today? It was 75 degrees 3 days ago, but you know what? It's not freezing in Naples or in Miami. So I wouldn't think about beach. I wouldn't think about lake. So I like where my lake is because it's in Alabama. It's south. I actually wish it was a little bit farther south, but I'm looking at marketability, right? So 1, I want to know what activities people are going to do on the lake. I want to know how high demand they are. I want to look at my competitors. So the one thing I love, and the only reason I even decided to buy a house on this lake to start with, it's the second clearest lake in the south. Most lakes are mud pits, and that's something my wife loved. And we bought this as a second home, not as a vacation rental. It turned into a successful vacation rental. I'm actually selling that property right now because I bought a bigger one that I'm rehabbing. So I look at one of the things that I think is important is once again, who's the ideal buyer that you're going to market to, and what is the climate? I am not a fan of like lake properties in middle America. I mean, I'm telling you right now, Lake of the Ozarks, Table Rock Lake, they're freaking ghost towns right now. Freaking ghost towns. I don't know who wants to go to those lakes in the middle of summer, but you know what happens? And this kind of goes in, I think, to your follow-up question, Susan. How would you approach a property in Michigan? So I love a lake property in Michigan, especially depending on the lake, right? If it's frozen over to where I can get snowmobiles on it, to where I can ice fish, to where I can ice skate, I've got winter activities on that lake that I can market, right? Once again, I don't have that here. We don't get that at Lake of the Ozarks. We don't get that at Smith Lake. We don't get that at Lake Havasu. We don't get that in the middle part of the country. So if you can get the 4-season lake property, then I would take that over a beach community that's not going to be, a 12-month season or a 10-month season. Historically, for the last 5 years leading up to this, Gulf Shores, Alabama, for me, was like an 11 to an 11 and a half month market. This year, it's going to be like a 10-month market. So it's one of the reasons that I'm going to like Montana. My wife and I, it's our dream to have a property there. And I'm debating on how close I need to be to either Glacier National Park or Yellowstone for those draws. But also during the winter, man, what about skiing Kalispell or Big Sky? I'm looking at all of these different components. Well, this summer, I want to have a river so we can fly fish. All of those things are really what's going to impact how much revenue I'm going to be able to generate and the demand that I'm going to be able to generate for this property. The same thing applies, I think, in both question number 1 and number 2 from you, Susan. So there's no right or wrong answer. I'm telling you that we can make money in this business in any market that we want to. We just have to know how to evaluate on the front end. Troy, Bill, how much do you spend on Facebook ads each month per property, and do you spend more during the winter? Normally I'd be drinking a glass of wine, but I quit drinking for the month of January. We'll see how long that lasts. So I'm on day number 3 today. So Facebook ads, I spend $1 a day per ad, per property. So I'm typically running 3 ads at one time, 2 primary ads and 1 retargeting ad, right? So that's 1 ad and going after the same ideal buyer, a second ad going after the same ideal buyer. Sometimes it's a picture and like number 1 and then a video number 2 or vice versa. Sometimes they're both videos. I try to mix it up about every quarter, and I'll look at the data on this, but every 2 to 3 months I'll go in and I'll update the ads for the property. And a lot of that has to do with when I travel there. I always want to be at the property, especially if I'm going to be making a video. But it's $1 a day per ad. So max I'm spending $3 a day per ad. And that does not fluctuate. I actually would have a tendency to spend less during the winter and more during the summer. It's something I learned from a huge influence, my business partner in my Glow Golf business, to spend more money. Like I'm going to go back, if you guys have been here from the beginning, that like Gulf Shores and that Price Labs report, 584 bookings in the last week. Well, there's not a big enough interest right now for me to raise my budget. I guess I could, it probably wouldn't spend it, but I would rather be spending my budget, deeper into the season when more people are booking and I have more eyeballs. There's a reason that I block out some weeks during the summer and I just get ridiculously high on my rates and I hold them till the end because that's when demand is the strongest. I do not want to be sold out right now. That's a whole nother pricing strategy component that we're going to go deep into at the boot camp. That's not what this is about, but that is something that's important, is the pricing. Just like we talked about lowering pricing now, I believe in going ridiculously high during the summer months. But to answer your question, Troy, it's $1 a day per ad, no more than $90 a month per property. Christy, Bill, do you post your Instagram and Facebook page more often during the winter? No, I actually don't post to them ever. I've been down that path, as I stated earlier. I'd go back about 5-10 minutes, like to minute 40, 45 in this broadcast. And I literally, if I'm going to be posting to social media, which I'm not, have not even created a page for my newest property, just FYI, I will. Haven't created it yet and haven't run any Facebook ads for that property yet. All buy, sell, trade group, all Alabama vacation rental, and Airbnb and Vrbo. I've really focused on getting my listing optimization so I can dominate through the entire year in 2022. But I don't do it a lot. So I would say to probably post less and allocate your time into something that's going to really yield a stronger return for you. It's kind of just like I look at a property. If I have a property that's underperforming, or I see an opportunity for something that's going to perform better based on the cash that I've got put into that property, then I'm going to pull the cash and I'm going to put it into something else. Same thing with my time. I don't want to continue to be repetitive and invest hours and hours on a weekly basis of my time if I can do something else that takes less time to yield bigger results. How often do you send out emails to your past guests? So, Mark, that is an amazing question. I send about 7 to 8 emails a year. So that's literally about every 30 to 45 days, roughly about 45 days, I'm sending out an email. And out of those 7 to 8 emails, I'm directly selling in no more than 2 of them. So let's just say there's 8. If there's 8, there's 6 that are informative. They might be announcing stuff, but it's the other 2 are really the sales. And usually it's like, hey, I'm opening my calendar for these dates, or 2, it's around Christmas for the opening day of summer bookings, and that's it. Everything else is informational. What happens is when you really become customer centric, when you become guest centric in your email marketing, you're going to see that you get more people to open, more people to read. They get engaged in a deeper level. And then when you do come in to sell something, they're paying attention. It's really hard to keep people's attention with email, especially if we're doing newsletter style. That's why the majority, like outside of the 2 images I put in the email today, if you guys saw that, announcing this and Tax Tuesday yesterday, usually it's like 100% text. And as I talked about telling a story, in your listing descriptions, same thing when I'm writing the emails. Almost everything is correlated to a story. So we talk about Facebook ads. If you guys remember that email, which was about a week and a half ago, about Lori, who's in my mastermind, who spent like $84 to book $7,700 or $7,800. $84 in Facebook ad spend, like over 5 days or a week. I don't remember the exact stuff. I'd have to pull up the email. And she booked like $7,700 in December when she had no bookings. That's a testament that Facebook ads worked. And that's from one of my mastermind members. That's not even me. doing that. So I guess I can scratch off email marketing and Facebook ads with that one. So it's very cheap. $1 a day per ad per day. It works. Holly, do you recommend LinkedIn ads? I recommend LinkedIn ads specifically for people that are urban areas, in downtowns, that are looking for travel nurses, that are looking for business travelers. Like I'm going to use Nashville as an example. Downtown Nashville. So a lot of people think of us as, honky tonk central, the bachelorette parties, I mean, we have a tremendous amount of tourism that comes here, and the bachelorette parties and the people going to honky tonks, are a huge part of that. We have, like 7 or 8 million people a year that are just coming through our convention center. But we have a whole another thing called healthcare here. That's our number one marketplace, actually. And there's a lot of travel nurses that come through here, a lot of healthcare executives. And if I had like a really nice townhome, apartment, duplex, whatever that is, that was close to any of their facilities, then I'd be on Furnish Finder. There's no question, looking for like travel nurses, that type of stuff. But that's where I'd be using LinkedIn ads and to be targeting them. So on Clubhouse, there's people that are specifically into arbitrage and, in these urban models. And, one of the biggest guys in our space is Jay Massey. And he came in and he bought my LinkedIn and Facebook ads course, because LinkedIn is how we want to go after the business traveler. Anything that you want to do on the professional to business side, I use LinkedIn ads just like I use Facebook ads. The platforms are very, very similar, almost identical. The only thing that you have to do is spend a little bit more money on the LinkedIn side. So if you're looking for business travelers, you're looking for corporate executives, if you want to target geographically, like large companies or office buildings, you want to acquire a company that travels to your city for their sales team, for their marketing team, for events, whatever that is, you can use them. I also like let's just use the NRA as an example, the National Rifle Association. A few years ago, we had like 15,000 people here in Nashville. And you could use Facebook ads and LinkedIn ads for that to target people that like the NRA or that, are a member of their groups or their pages. And you can do this like a year in advance to where they're booking out for that conference a year in advance. And a lot of people say, well, why would I want to do that for something that's here for like a week? Well, because you can literally spend like $50 to $80, like Lori did, $82. You can absolutely crush your rates. You can go from $300 to $1,000 a night if you have a really cool property in a great location. So if they're here for 4 days, well, that's like $300 to $1,700 times 4. I'm not good at math. That's $2,800. I'd be willing to spend $50 to $100 in advertising dollars to be able to get an additional $2,800 in revenue. That's where the compression events become so critical. And there are compression events that are happening right now in our cities all over the country. So that's kind of the added bonus tip, is you have to know your compression events in your marketplace. And I don't have time there's a lot of strategies of where you can go in, where you can find them, how you can target all of these different types of things. But you have to know them. That's why Beyond and Wheelhouse and Price Labs is so critical to keep our pricing optimized. They know what's happening based on that demand with those compression events. We don't know. So those are all great questions. I think we got some other comments over here. Let's see. I am not sure who my ideal buyer in Blue Ridge, Georgia. How do you direct people to Vrbo? Most of mine come from Airbnb. What about HomeAway and Housey? So number one, define your ideal buyer. So if I own in Blue Ridge, then I am just going to absolutely dominate Atlanta with Facebook and LinkedIn ads. And I'm going to go after the high luxury, depending on what type of property I have. But if I have a property there, it would be a 4, 5, 6, 7 bedroom. It'd probably be a 6, 7, 8, $900 million property. It would be nice. And I would be targeting those higher net worth executives that live south of Atlanta and Peachtree City, that live in, the Buckhead area, whatever the nicer parts are. I'd also probably be targeting, Birmingham, Hoover on the south part of Birmingham. I'd be targeting where I live, Williamson County in Nashville. There's a lot of places that you can target, and you can do this on buy, sell, trade groups, and you can do it on LinkedIn ads and you can do it on Facebook ads, right? So that's it. And Facebook ads and LinkedIn ads would be my primary strategy, but I would be all up in Atlanta if I'm in Blue Ridge. Nobody in that market knows how to do it. I promise you. Nobody knows how to do that. And if you're interested in that, I've got a whole Facebook ads course, or you need to be here for the boot camp, because that's where we're going to be taking a deep dive, into these things. So let's see, what's next? Thanks for answering my question. You affirm that my thinking are awesome, whoever that is. If we win the bid on your Smith Lake home, we will buy your course for sure, and whoever that is, okay, and try to do the mastermind. Awesome, congratulations. I don't know what's happening with that, to be honest with you. Any tricks to avoid getting Facebook ads rejected? Always getting rejected when I submit with a targeted audience. Yes, there is. Manual review is happening with almost everything, but a lot of it has to do with your copy and how you're setting up the ad and where you're sending that link to. So that's really, that technical component falls into Chris's category. That's all covered in the Facebook ads course. That is something we'll be taking a deep dive into when we're here in the boot camp. I don't want to give you a wrong answer today, but it can be done. How do you collect emails from Airbnb customers? Number one way for me is StayFi. StayFi.com. Let's see, I'll drop this in just so you guys can see this here because I love StayFi. StayFi.com, there we go. Boom, StayFi.com. So you just connect that to your router. People log in with their email address, and then you can zap that out of StayFi into your email service provider. So that's one of the biggest single ways of how I've been able to generate thousands of email addresses. So everybody that's staying at your property has to log in to it. Vincent, need to install, yep, StayFi, Matt Prince, agreed. Look at Matt Prince's background. Love that background from boot camp. Are you going to have another boot camp during spring or summer? The dates you chose don't work for me. Well, this is the spring boot camp in March. We don't plan. We only go one at a time. What I can tell you is as soon as I get my Montana property, I will be having an exclusive event there. There'll be a very small number of people, probably 10 to 15 for a couple of days. It'll be like a mini boot camp or something. I'm also working with a couple of other people in our industry for a super summit in Dallas, Texas in June. Hopefully we'll be ready to announce something on that. And this will be like I shouldn't say a mega conference, but a conference with a lot of different speakers, multiple days that will be, that should be pretty cool. Probably about 1,000 hosts is what we're estimating that will be coming to that. So I'm excited about that. Can you do boot camp online? Hard to travel. I'm going to tell you, I've done 24 boot camps in varying industries. And for those that have been here, it is so interactive, and we have sold the recordings previously. I don't think I'm going to do that anymore. The experience is not the same as being here. And it's just, I don't know what else to say. It's just, I mean, people that have been to a boot camp, the interaction that happens in real time, the Q&A, I just can't do a recorded product that stands up to what happens when you're here in person. It's not hard to travel. That's just an excuse, in my opinion. If you see enough value, whether it's me or Tony Robbins or whoever, then we need to, be able to get there. I would love to do, we do some things online. I did the 3-day training, the online training, but a boot camp just doesn't fit into that mix. But I'll try to get some other things going online, especially if this Omicron crap sticks around. Cool. That's it. Count me in for that conference. It's only up the road from Austin. I will count you in, whoever that is. Sam, just bring some Rudy's breakfast tacos for me. I love that. Awesome. Any other last minute questions? That's it. So we talked about pricing and how that affects your listing optimization, time on site, what you need to do from your listing optimization, buy, sell, trade groups, Facebook ads, email marketing, what not to waste your time on in this broadcast. I thank you guys for joining me tonight. I'm a little bit over. It's 7:04. I think I missed dinner with my family tonight, but that's okay. I got to spend it with you guys. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you for joining me today.